Welcome, freelancers, to our Anthem show. Thank you so much for joining us today. Joining me today is Arekkz.
What's up?
And Dantics.
What's up?
Introduced in alphabetical order. Thank you so much for joining us today. A lot has happened within the Anthem universe this week. Like they figured out that it made about $100 million. Huge critical failure, of course, making that much money. Also, there were a bunch of patch notes. I'm being sarcastic. There were a bunch of patch notes also released this week about what is going to happen going forward. Most of it sounds great. I'm actually really, really excited about it. But we're also going to get into one thing that we're a little bit bummed about that we were really, really hoping for. And yeah. Let's get right into it. Dantics, you went and you collected all of these patch notes for us. Why don't you give us the most important pieces that you think we should be gleaning from the information? We all watched the live stream last week. Tons of info. Dantics was nice enough to put together a collection of the notes for us for the show today.
Well, we can go through more detail a bit later, but the summary is vanity chests, which we'll talk about in detail very soon, I'm very sure. There's been boss changes. We also talk about legendary missions, and there's a few random spot improvements here and there. There was quite a lot, actually, to talk about, so I think we should probably get started with the vanity chests.
Elysian chests, right?
Yeah.
Which we believe we're
chests.
going to have cosmetics. Sounds like they're not now. Now they're going to have vinyls? What are they going to have specifically?
So they're going to have vinyls.
Packs, right?
Yeah. So Ben Ervo says there's no armor packs in these chests, but there are very cool vinyls, arrival animations, victory poses, and emotes. So
I get what
no
they're
chests,
I get what they're going with, but I think there was an expectation set that they were going to have armor sets, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to run Tyrant Mine and get that bug armor. Look like
That's
a cool
the thing,
bug who
right?
I just slaughtered, and yeah, Arekkz, I think you were feeling the same way, and I think we all were.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Because I mean, like me as like a Monster Hunter player, like these games. Obviously, you pursue power, but ultimately, I pursue cosmetics in these kind of games, right? If you don't look cool, I don't care how strong my character is. If I look cool, that's the end game. That's the real end game, right? It's like fashion, Anthem fashion frame. But yeah, I mean that's the thing. I was trying to think back. I was trying to think back to when they first mentioned the Elysian chests. Like, did they mention specifically armor, or was it one of those ones where they said cosmetic chests and kind of we jumped to conclusions? I don't really know. But either way, I think it is a massive misstep, because I think ultimately, I know some people have had some really cool designs, but for me, I don't use vinyls, right? Like, I personally haven't found a way to put a vinyl on my Javelin that I've liked the look of. Like, there's some cool vinyls, but when I put them on, they just, because you can't change the color, I don't find that I can do a lot with them. So a lot of the time, I just have bare bones. I mess with the colors. So for me, armor is ultimately the crux. That is the be all and end all for me. And that's what I was super excited, because literally until I'd seen that tweet from Ben, I was super excited to jump back in next week, because I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to farm a load of keys. I'm going to get the whole squad together. You know, the fact that it's an exhaustive list, so you'll eventually have a guaranteed means to get what you want. I was like, this is a great system. Like, just give me a load of armor. And then to find that we're not going to get armor, I'm just like, well, I mean, victory poses are cool, but you don't really use them that much. Vinyls I don't use. So suddenly the chests personally don't provide as much value to me, which is kind of a bit of a shame.
Yeah,
because the system's really cool. The system is super cool.
And given you can only get one a day as well, because you get the one key, and you can get more if you're with your friends and you all open a chest. But I mean, basically, it's a daily, right? And like you were saying, Arekkz, we mentioned this way back when we started Freelancer Chat, right? That wouldn't it be cool if you were fighting a boss and then you get boss-related armor pieces like that bug armor? How cool would that be? That would be amazing. That would keep me playing and wanting to play different bosses and different strongholds, right? So you can get embers as well from the chests, I believe. So I'm kind of imagining, with all the things that have been piling up, I'm imagining there's going to be a situation where Reddit posts them opening a chest and it being all embers and being super disappointed at the drop rate. Foresee it happening.
Well, here's the thing. Anthem's in a weird spot where, in a tricky spot where they need to retain the player base that they have. And I signed on last week after the show, because I'm like, it has been a while. Let me sign on. Let's see what I get for a few runs. And I signed on again throughout the week just to kind of see what it's like to play the game again. And yeah, that gameplay loop is still there. but when I'm doing runs, I'm getting tons and tons of purple drops. And now that I know that I'm not going to be incentivized to run for cosmetic sets or anything like that, I'm further de-incentivized from signing it on again. So for me, that makes me want, I mean, I'll still play it. I love looter shooters. I love hopping into these games, so I'll still be checking it out. But knowing that I'm not going to have that really, really cool vanity item is disappointing. They have other armor sets that we've seen in promotional videos and stuff like that, like, or even the stuff that they've had in the store already. Give us a way to earn that through the chest, or just, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a grind that's not there. Go ahead, Arekkz.
Yeah, I could see them potentially doing, and what I might end up doing as well, because as I was saying, like foundationally, like the system, the Elysian chest system sounds really cool. Like the prospect of, you log in, you get a key, you go and open a chest, you can, and then you can start working towards it, and the fact you can share it with other people as a system is really, really cool. So what I could almost see is like, to try and be slightly more optimistic about it, is that there might come a time where, okay, it launches next week and people are like, well, you know what, there's no armor, suddenly the intensive isn't there, and then they might very quickly try and, it might well be, I don't know, I don't understand the technical side behind it. It might well be that to try and deliver armor packs there's something else they're working on, they just haven't got it in place right now. Maybe that's why. So I could almost see myself being in a position where I'm like, okay, I run a few Elysian chests, I haven't really got what I want, so instead I'm just going to start logging on and I'm just going to start banking keys, because I feel like there might just come a time where they might just be like, say they launch them next week, and then let's say 2 weeks after, like, all right, we finally got an armor packs are in the chest, and I'll be like, well, now I've got 10 keys, let's go, guys. And then so I almost feel like I'm going to do that. Like, I'm going to log back in, and I'm going to use the keys as a means to log in daily and play it.
I'm gonna play with this guy when the time comes to open those.
There we go. I'm like, I've got the keys, man.
I'm using 100 keys. It could be like a giveaway, Arekkz. Like, I'm opening 100 keys. You want to show me?
Oh, I see a video.
Live stream cheeky runs.
I see a video in the future opening 10 Elysian chests or 100 Elysian chests.
Opening 100 chests.
It'll crash the game.
Oh dear, imagine that.
Yeah. So that was a little disappointing. One thing that actually was teased in a little blog post by Casey Hudson was, again, that they are going to continue supporting Anthem, and that was really good to hear. And he ate a whole lot of humble pie. I like seeing that from a developer. They admit that they had some missteps at launch, and they're going to keep working to make the game better, which is really nice to hear. I hope they continue evolving from here. But they also said that they are going to be releasing the new story content. They teased it a little bit with just an image. So I'm actually quite excited about that. Do you have any idea where they're going to go from here? I feel like we kind of wrapped up everything, but there was that tease at the end of the campaign. Do you think we're going to be investigating this new species, or what do you think is going to happen going forward? Dantics, start with you, I guess.
I think you're spot on. I think it's going to kick off from investigating this new species. I think there's going to be something that goes down, and maybe an invasion, or maybe something opens up and something floods in. I think it's going to be around that. There's going to be an arc that starts, and I think they're going to continue that arc with more and more story content. I don't think it will finish in one season.
No,
I think it's going to be like a continuation thing from this point on.
I'll definitely hop in just to see how the story ends up concluding with this particular arc. Do you remember the name of this act?
No.
No. It's like Act 1 Illusion, something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But what about you, Arekkz? Do you have any idea where they're going to go?
I mean, not like where they're going to go, but I mean, I'm definitely like super excited for, because probably the thing that excites me the most, and it kind of lays the foundations for what they could do with this, is like, with the introduction of this, this other race, hopefully that means we get more enemy types to fight. Because what we often see in these other looter shooters, we see expansions, but then they just reuse the same enemy types. We've seen it in Destiny with like, more Hive, more Cabal, or we've seen it in Division. There'll be like more content, but it's more the people you're fighting. So like, if this means that already with new story we get things that aren't just the Scar and the Outlaws and people like that to fight, and suddenly that with it brings a whole new set of units, a new set of like the elite enemies, or whatever they call them, the Apex enemies. That in itself could be really cool. So I mean, obviously from a story point of view, it's definitely interesting, but I think I've said before multiple times in these kind of things, I play these games more for like the end game pursuit. So for me, it's more, what could the introduction of a new race mean, and hopefully that means more enemies to fight, because although gear. Again, like, yeah, I mean, hopefully that as well. I mean, like, yeah, ideally it would be like new gear, like new weapons, new everything, right? So hopefully, I just hope, like, because I hope it's like every time you see an expansion like that, it is just like, a micro version of what you'd expect from like a launch package. Some story, some gear, some abilities, and then kind of just keep that rolling, right?
I hope it's enemy group types, like for example, scars. Scars have their own heavies, their own lights, their own snipers. I hope it's a group of enemies like that, like a whole new one, because that would really mix it up.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, technically, what about the story as well? Like, I still don't think that guy's dead. I mean, he got run over by a bus, but he was on quarter health. I haven't seen him die. If I haven't seen his dead body, like, he's not dead.
I know it was.
That's how I felt. I was like, this is not a way to end it. He still had health. Let me kill him.
I don't think he's dead.
Yeah.
It's such a weird way to end such a pivotal character. I would be surprised if we didn't see him return. By the way, that act is called Echoes of Reality. I Googled it and found it. So I don't know if it will be investigating the other race. It could be something more with the Shapers, like building up to the Cataclysms in May, I want to say. Cataclysms are in May.
True.
Now, comparing what's going on with Anthem, they're kind of in a we're fixing a whole bunch of stuff phase right now. They're still releasing a little bit of story content here coming up. But if you look over at like what's happening in Destiny right now, they just had Season of the Drifter come out, and largely we've experienced everything offered in that content in the first 3 weeks or so. Maybe you're still grinding your Thorn or whatever. But yeah, I think this is sort of a normal phase. I hope by the time May rolls around, though, they've come up with a better cadence of content and quality of life sets within the world of Anthem. Sorry to bring up Destiny. That's my one allowance for the show. That's all I'm allowed. I do a show about Anthem and Destiny, so just share world shooter stuff. But yeah. There was
Destiny talks, Destin.
Yeah. There was one other thing during the stream. Let's kind of get into the nitty gritty of it. They said they're getting a loot boost. Loot on bosses will now guarantee a masterwork, and you have a good chance of a legendary and more things on bosses. Chests will also be getting a boost, according to BioWare. Another Anthem update. You can go directly to the Forge from anywhere in Fort Tarsis.
That was so good.
Yes, and it appears to have little to no loading time whatsoever. You just kind of pop into it. You can also go to the map from anywhere in Fort Tarsis now. So they are addressing some of the key stuff that should have been there earlier, and I am glad to see these changes. If you guys want, let's just go through the patch notes. Let's get into the nitty gritty, or you can talk off that point. Sure. I'll let you start, Arekkz, if you want to just. You have the patch notes in front of you that Dantics provided? Yeah, you take it away.
Well,
you start.
I think one of the cool things to talk about outside of that were definitely the legendary missions, right? Because it's one of those things where this is something that can factor into the daily loop, and it's quite nice the way that they have structured them, because they are something that you can just do on repeat. It's not going to be one thing that you just do once and it disappears off your map. They said you can run it as many times as you want. So whereas, you might log in for the day and I might do my legendary contract. I'm like, okay, cool, that's done for the day. I've had my chance at my, you've done your 3. I've had my chance at my masterwork component, and then you've checked it off. So you're like, well, that's something else I can't do. Whereas this, if it's going to remain on the map, I could in theory run it back to back. And they said in terms of difficulty, it comes just below stronghold. So it's still going to be, it's not going to be like the ultimate challenging thing, but hopefully it will yield some good loot. They did say it should yield good loot. They had that kind of unfortunate thing in the stream where they opened the chest and it didn't give them what they wanted. And it kind of reminded me of that. I like to kind of just use the one Destiny allowance. You remember the 2 blues and a thing? Yeah. Like they were like, oh yeah, we got some great loot. They opened the chest and like,
2 tokens
please,
and a blue.
The one time we needed it to be, but like, that's obviously it is an RNG thing. But I think it's a really cool idea, because some of the missions were really cool, and the fact that you couldn't really go back and replay them. There's a little bit of a odd flow. They did mention that they've cut the cutscenes off the front and the end, which makes sense. But if you're playing a mission that has a mid cutscene, you kind of can't skip it. So there might be a weird, frustrating flow when you're trying to run those back to back. But largely speaking, it's more in the daily pool, because now it means that if you do want to log on, you can jump on and do your Elysian key activity. You can jump on and do your legendary mission, your stronghold, and your contract. So they're starting to build out that pool. Like there's obviously still a lot more we need to do. Like there's still the game does need more stuff end game, but it's starting to give you more stuff to do on a day by day basis.
Yeah. So you can do like you were saying, you can do your contracts and so on, and do your strongholds. But the thing with legendary missions that might keep you coming back is there's only going to be 1 available for you to do a day, and that rotates. Hopefully there's more than the 6 initial missions that they've made. Hopefully they keep doing that until they've got them all. But I don't know. I personally would have preferred the choice to do them all at the start. I'm not sure if I like the rotation thing. 1 mission available a day. I think we have we have enough limitations right now. I just prefer like this is my favorite one. I want to run this a lot. Just let me do it. Just let me do it. Come on.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I guess so. I'm running through basically on GM2. I mean, it's a little bullet spongy, but no problem in Anthem right now. I don't even want to bother with GM3. I hope they sort of continue to tweak that power delta, especially seeing the way the drop rates work. You basically, I don't know, man. I still only have 2 legendaries. That's all I ever have. And I feel like
still the same. Yeah.
Feel like I should have a few more than that at this point. So yeah, that would be nice. And being able to run GM2 is cool and everything, but the reward level just isn't quite where it needs to be yet. They need to turn I feel like beating a dead horse, but like Reddit, like everybody else saying, turn on the drops. Turn it back on to the way it was when it was bugged. That would give me much more incentivization to sign on regularly and get into the game and do my contracts and such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one likes playing a game they don't get rewarded for playing. It's like getting to the end of a really difficult mission and then dying and having to restart it with no reward. Like there's no save point between. That's what it feels like to me, because even just getting, a guaranteed masterwork is not enough when you need so many kind of, I don't know, stats to work out for you.
Yeah, it got to the point where I just straight up deleted all my purples because I realized, I'm like, you're never going to make a build with purples. You're never going to. Why would you ever equip one of these? I mean, like what, for more luck?
But apart from that, exactly that.
Like components for your alternate javelin, like that's not your main, right? You might use it in that scenario, but they're useless. They're absolutely pointless. And if they were able to figure out a way to make them a viable resource, like, hey, how about this? Give me purples. Let me convert those purple. What are they called? The things that you get for dismantling. You get parts or whatever that are purple.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So let me convert those to Masterworks and then let me build Masterwork components. I think, or Masterwork whatever. I think that would be one way to make purples a little bit more of a happy allowance when you get it, as opposed to don't even pick it up.
If you had to.
No,
even if you had to throw 100 purples into a vat, destroy them, and get 1 masterwork, that would be okay.
Right.
I mean, it's just a use of them, right? But no, I definitely, I mean, it's as you said, it's kind of, I know we've touched on it like multiple times, but having played through Division this past week, I'm world tier 4, max gear score now, and I'm at that point where, so for Division, obviously yellow is currently like there are some exotics, but largely speaking, yellow is like the top tier drop, and then you've got purples below that. And I am in a position now where like I'm getting yellows like all the time. I'm killing enemies and like it's yellows left, right, and center. And occasionally I get the odd purple. But the thing is, you get them in such high frequency, and you don't mind, because half the time I'm still deleting them because they're still not the items that I want or the roles that I want. But at least you know that then you're only competing with 2 things. You're thinking, all right, the high end has dropped, but the role's not right, or the high end has dropped, but the item's not right. But obviously, in Anthem, it's like not only has it not been a masterwork, but it's also not the right role, and it's also not the right item. So like, just remove that from the equation, because then you will be so much more forgiving. You'll be like, I don't care that it hasn't given me the inscription role that I want. I don't care that it's not the masterwork component I want, because it's just a masterwork, right? You become so much more forgiving when you're just dismantling them back to back, and it's the exact same thing that Diablo does, right? So like, if they could literally just do that, and maybe that could be the draw. I mean, to echo what you said, Destin, like I don't see the value in GM3 right now. I'm just like, GM2 seems like a moderate thing you can kind of work your way through. You get some decent loot, and obviously if they're going to give you slightly better drop rate, cool, makes sense. If it was like, if you're going to spend your time in GM3 and everything you kill is only going to drop masterwork, I'd be like, okay, cool. You know what? There's a value now. Like, I'm going to do that, and I'm only going to see masterworks. I'm going to invest an extra half an hour going through this stronghold because it's going to be worth my time. That to me just needs to make sense.
Yeah, so masterworks drop so rarely that it feels like the game should have had a way to re-roll your own masterworks. In a lot of games, you can just change some components to the item that you get. And look, if you look at Diablo 3, they drop so frequently. Your high-end weapons and gear drop so frequently, but you can still re-roll them or like change their stats or add a different stat. In Anthem, it feels so infrequent, and we can't do anything about the ones we get. You might only see 1 legendary the whole time you play, and you can't do anything about changing that, even though you might roll something that doesn't agree with your build or will never agree with the build. So, I think it does need to be tuned up.
So going forward, something I like to do, I do this with other games a lot. Let's just go through the patch notes that you wrote, Dantics, and every time you hit a point, let's just have a little bit of a conversation about each one that you find is compelling enough to converse about. We can start with the vanity chest. We've kind of hit on that once, but let's let everybody in on the details they may have missed for the week.
All right. Should we go through the improvements and fixes first?
Sure.
We already mentioned this. The Forge can now be immediately accessible via the menu. I think this should have been there from the start, but I'm so happy it's here now. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, why did that take you however many months to figure out? Like, you obviously have beta testers. Yeah. Clearly, this is something they were probably like, hey, we want this. But you know what I bet happened? I bet they were like, okay, we know we need to do that, but we have these 15 game-breaking things we absolutely need to address immediately. So we're going to do the game-breaking things, and we'll get to the launching of the Forge as soon as we can.
They'll be there sitting in the meeting room like, all right, what's the priority? And everyone will be like, we've got to fix this. We've got to fix this. And the guys on that team are like, okay, I can do the menu thing. It's just going to take some time. Yeah. That's what it would have happened. Yeah. Components are now visible in the summary.
Yeah. They'll be like, we could fix that. This server's on fire. Maybe we should put the fire out. I don't know what you guys think. We could do the Forge thing, or we could put out the fire. Let me know.
Yeah. Well, we can try putting out the fire with some more fire, which seems like what they did.
Yeah.
Components are now visible in the summary of the Forge, which is obviously a necessity when components are so damn important.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There is increased thruster duration, I believe, 20% extra.
Okay, this is actually like a good, interesting thing that I wanted to discuss, because the increase in thruster duration means that you're going to be able to traverse longer and further while in the air. And you stack that with some of your thruster duration stuff. I kind of wonder why the flight mechanic was reduced in the first place if they're reducing it. Like, was it a loading screen thing? Was it something like that? And this is also going to be pivotal for a storm roll who is primarily airborne throughout the whole time. So I think this is going to have a bigger impact than people realize. What do you guys think, Arekkz?
Yeah, 100%. And also don't forget that's paired with the fact that it's also 20% reduction on when you overheat. So you're also not going to be stuck in that annoying state for as long as well. So, no, I don't know whether maybe the design decision behind it before was sort of like they didn't want you to fly for too long because then it forced you to land, which then allows you to discover the world. Because I remember the very first time I played this at like E3, and I was flying over the world, and I was like, you know what? I spent a lot of my time above the trees, not actually paying attention to the world they've created in the ground. So maybe there was kind of a reason behind that. But yeah, 100%. If you're Storm or anyone, then you're gonna have sort of like more time with that. So I'll be really interested to see how that works out, because there's definitely especially, and that might give you just that little extra bit, because if you start pairing that with like mastering your flight and skimming water and going through waterfalls, but sometimes you're just shy of that waterfall and you're like, bam. So yeah. It might mean you can get some nice extended flights going. So yeah,
maybe they did some extra testing and that was the perfect amount that they needed to get all the waterfalls and run through it without stopping, right? Or it could very well be they had some, I don't know, draw distance issue before and they just needed you to slow down for a little bit. Who knows?
Possibly, yeah.
That's true.
But I mean, it's always a good thing. I think they want people to see more of the world, honestly. I think that's probably what it was. And now that people have, they're like, you know what? You guys can fly around and have some fun.
Yeah.
Right.
So that leads into entering and exiting water feels more smooth.
Thank you. I don't know what else to say, but come on. That should have been... Yeah, whatever. It's great. Thanks, guys.
Water has always been an issue, I think. I think games really struggle with their water levels, if you know what I mean. Besides the original Donkey Kong Country, those water levels were great.
FOV, small thing, but thank you also for the field of view options. I like that one
awesome.
a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that is obviously only for PC players, so obviously I appreciate it. But yeah, when they showed that in the stream, it was really cool. Like being able to see like fully zoomed out, especially in water, is gonna be nice. Yeah, very nice.
I don't know. I don't know about you guys. I play max FOV in most PC games that I play, especially shooters like other games. Division, like Division.
You can say it, man. We can't escape it.
Yeah, but yeah, I like max FOV options.
Yeah. Look, I mean, it gives you like, why would you in a setting where you need to shoot things want to see less things, right? If I had eyes on the side of my head and the back of my head, I mean, I wouldn't keep
True.
them shut.
True.
All right, less pilot error with fixes. I'm not exactly sure.
What does that mean?
You know,
that's
the pilot
that's the one
error.
where, that's the one where like when you go down, and like someone's reviving you, and then they stop reviving you, it resets your timer. So then that'll be fixed. So then like it still doesn't fix the kind of like what do I do when I'm down, but at least it means that they can't just like keep you in this eternal 30-second loop, which will be nice.
Yeah, definitely. Disappearing strongholds, missions, and contracts. The problem is going to be resolved, I assume.
Nice.
That's what they said. They're also not this patch, but I believe the next patch, they're going to address the thing with luck. I believe luck had
Yes.
had some issues as well. Scaling issues are being looked at, but apparently that isn't going to be easy.
Luck's not working properly?
Yeah, apparently. I don't know. I haven't got any luck gear, to be honest.
I've got. I like
set.
the thing is, right. It's always so hard in these games because like other games have had this stat before. It's so hard to be like. I remember when the game launched, people were like, "Yo, is luck working?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know. I mean, I've got luck gear, but it's an RNG game. It's like I feel like, but sometimes it's that weird thing where like people will often say like if you've got a headache, like sometimes you don't even need to take paracetamol, but just the thought of taking it thinks like you. It's like do I feel
placebo?
like. Yeah. So I'm like, I feel like by putting the luck gear on, I'm like, yeah, I've definitely got better loot. But it could have literally just been that I was.
It could have been a placebo.
Actually lucky.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not tangible, is it? It's not like there's 4 scales of luck. You have common luck. You have rare luck. You have whatever. There's no scale of luck. So now it's you might boost it by 1%, and that's just negligible when you're only opening 4 items, for example. Like you're not going to tell that 1%.
Yeah.
But if it was something, it's like you've gone up a tier in rarity, and you start seeing that rarity occur a lot more often. Then there's something tangible. So I can't do luck.
You know what they should do with it? You know what they should do with it? That's how they can make luck really good, right? They should change luck so that if you have enough of it stacked, you legitimately guaranteed or maybe have like a really good chance of getting like a second masterwork drop from. So GM1, you do you get a guaranteed 1 masterwork drop from the boss. So you do GM1 now, and you have a chance of getting a second one. And be like, okay, now there's a slightly more tangible way to kind of like work with luck. Be like, okay, cool, I have it, and I have like a 75% chance to get a masterwork out of a chest or from a boss. That would be cool.
Yeah, so, it'd be good if you could see what it did like that.
Yeah,
or it'd be cool if it kind of, every time you open a chest, it clones one of the items that drops, and you see it do that. So you're like, oh, look at my luck working. It can sparkle of stars or something, and be like, here's a clone masterwork.
Yeah,
that from your luck.
That would actually be really neat if luck had some sort of actual visual effect on the gear that was affected by it. That's a really good, smart idea.
Yeah, and then you'd have incentive. It's like, I'm going to definitely run my luck build in GM1 and get double. The chance of getting a double legendary, for example, would make you feel amazing. Can you imagine the gifts? And then the more you stack it, the more it could duplicate. So maybe you stack it so high that it duplicates 4 times, and Reddit would go nuts.
Yeah,
the game would promote itself.
Even my crappiest build probably has like 70% luck without even trying. I remember I just threw something together and I did a run, and I'm like, oh man, I got a lot of purples. What was my luck percent? Oh, it was still like 70%. We know it caps at 99 because they did the stat breakdown about how it works. So I'm like, I still had pretty high percent luck and didn't get good drops this time. So any improvement within that realm would be great.
Yeah. So they fixed the respawn timer as well. Apparently there was an issue when I didn't get too much, I don't believe, but when you attempted to revive someone, the timer would go off and you wouldn't know that you're actually reviving them. So I think that's going to be fixed. And finally, they're going to implement the DLSS, which a lot of people are happy about, considering they got their fancy new graphics cards and they didn't have the technology to kind of kind of try it out. I mean, I almost got one for it, but
I'll say this: the whole revive thing, I very, very much appreciate that is in the game, because there have been times where I'm running with randos and they just forget about me, and at least I know now that I'm only going to be there for 30 seconds. There's still the wait, just like in Nightfall, of everybody dying and wiping the team, and you get pushed back. So I was surprised they didn't have that one at launch, and to see them implement it felt really good. I was really, really happy about that change personally. And
no one likes to be Dr. Dre.
Right?
Yeah.
I think only the oldies will get that joke. Quick play will no longer queue you into missions that are more than a set amount of time in. I believe it's 2 minutes. So you're not going to be at the end boss. You're not going to jump into a mission to be at the end and just be like, okay, well, all those loading screens just for me to be in another one in a couple of seconds. Not that that's bad. I mean, you get some loot, but I mean, people want to play. So I mean, that's definitely a good update.
So realistically, that is about all of the patch notes that were really, really interesting. If we missed anything, let us know in chat. But I have to say, reading through that, I'm a little bit more hopeful about these changes as they come next week, because this is just a few of them. They said there's like a ridiculous
13 pages.
13 pages of patch notes that are actually going to be addressed in the game. So hopping in next week, it's going to be really, really interesting to see what all of this looks like in action, and I'm really, really excited about that. How are you guys feeling about like the next month with Anthem? Because honestly, while I'm excited, I am interested in checking out the story. I am still concerned that I'm going to devour the story, and then it'll be break time from Anthem again. How do you guys feel? Dantics?
I'm in the same boat. I feel like I'm going to kind of power through the story. I feel like I'm going to kind of hit the same wall that I've hit now, where it's just I want to play, but I want more reason to play. I kind of want to be in this position that Arekkz is in with Division 2, where if he jumps in, he gets tons of high end loot. And I think just adding more story and even more enemies won't really fix that, and won't really fix the fact that a lot of the loot isn't as impactful as it is in a game like Division 2. So I don't know. I really want a big update. I want to just not play it for 2 months, come back, and there just be something massive that changes the game. That's what I'm really hoping for. So EA Play, please.
Right. Yeah, we have E3 and everything around the corner. What about you, Arekkz? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, similar sort of thing, really. I mean, like, I was, I'll be honest, like, I was super looking forward to, like, initially the Elysian caches before, when we thought they were going to be armor, because I thought,
cosmetics.
that would 100% have been something that I'd be farming like every single day to get the, to make sure I've ticked off my one. I still am going to jump back in, because as mentioned, I'm still going to kind of like go in with the optimistic angle and I'm just going to farm and bank keys. I'm going to run some of them. I want to see, because up until now I said, like, I haven't really used vinyl, so I haven't really found ones that have matched my designs. Maybe there's some really cool ones in there that I might actually like, so I'll run a few, but I'm still gonna, I think if anything, it just means that with the new cadence of activities, it'll give me a kind of a chance to jump in like on a daily basis and do a few things, to tick off a few things. So like jump in and get my key, so I've got it banked, maybe jump in and run my legendary mission. And then I think it means I can play it in a slightly more passive manner. I can kind of just jump in, do a couple of things, jump back out, do that each day for a little bit, and then obviously when the new content drops, fully gonna looking forward to that. But I think I kind of I made this comparison last week, but it's very much like Anthem for me right now is in a very similar position to the way that I consume Monster Hunter right now, right? I love both games, and anytime there's a new update, I'm there straight away, checking it out, playing through, enjoying it all. And then once I've devoured that content, I just chill, I wait, and then I come back in cadences. So I think right now, and it just balances quite well. There's so much stuff happening right now. It means I can actually juggle all these different games. So that's kind of my stance right now.
Yeah. My biggest realization playing last week was, as I was grinding for gear and not getting a lot of drops and running in GM2, there's a few things that I feel need to be addressed immediately, and maybe you guys can think of some stuff that you think would largely enhance, besides the cosmetics, which you already discussed, the world of Anthem. And here are design goals that I think the team should really take to heart. There's absolutely zero reason to run GM3. There's no incentivization to run GM3 whatsoever. There's no cosmetic. There's no special loot. There's no reason to do something that's harder when you get equal, if not better, drops on GM2 or even GM1. Secondarily, there's little to no incentivization to hit power cap. You've talked about cataclysms, but you haven't. If cataclysms are just GM1, 2, 3 in difficulty, and there's no reason to power up for them, again, why am I getting ready for that? And I feel like that needs to be communicated by the team better, because if that's the case, why am I powering up all my javelins? What am I chasing towards?
Yeah.
In Destiny, it's so that I could do tier 3 reckoning. In Division, it's so that you can do the 8-player raid, which is going to be a top a top gear score related quest or mission, right? In Anthem, who cares? There's literally no challenge that you can't take on in GM1 or GM2. And I think if that incentivization was there, that would go a long way to getting me to sign on every week and wreck shop. Dantics, do you have any ideas about quality of life things, like specifically, or just design goals that you think the team should really take to heart and consider implementing to get you really invested, or to get the player base more invested?
This feeds into what you said. I mentioned this last week. I really just think the gear needs to be easier to get, and it needs to be different. It needs to be updated and changed, because if you had an incentive to even run GM1 and GM2 to gear up to get to that max gear score, and then you could go into something that was, your end game raid, people would play more. People would have that reason to play more. And right now it's just things aren't frequent enough. So getting to that top gear score, people are bouncing way before then. People are leaving way before then. All of my friends did. A lot of the people on my Discord did. I've got like 17,000 people in my Discord, and almost none of them are playing now. So for me, I feel like the biggest problem, besides obviously the bugs and the other problems that Anthem had, is the fact that it's not fun to get loot. Looter shooter game, I think, and it should be fun. I should be having more fun when I see a legendary. Right now, it's just like, oh well, it's got slightly better stats, and what do the stats mean? I don't really know. There's lots of things on Reddit that tell me what it's meant to be, but I mean, I want to see a character sheet. There's got to be stuff like that. There's got to be a reason for people like me that want to min-max, that want to look at ways to improve my character and something to shoot for. Because if I say I just need a little bit more fire damage, and I could be like, oh, I can go for that cool item that gives me that fire damage boost, and if I get 10% more, I'll be able to kill that boss in 2 hits. But I can't really do that now. So that would be really sweet. So what about you, Arekkz?
Yeah, I mean, similar sort of thing. Like, I feel like there needs to be some kind of structure to it more than just difficulty. I mean, going back to kind of what Destin was saying, maybe it needs to kind of revolve around like cataclysms, because obviously, ultimately, everything you do in game, you can control the difficulty, right? But I feel like when you come to something, if cataclysms are supposed to be, they've phrased them as being their aspirational content, which is of course the kind of comparative point to raids and other games. I know they don't use the raid terminology, but if that is if that is the space that Cataclysm is supposed to fill, I feel like that is the one activity in game that shouldn't be a difficulty that you can choose. It should just be hard, right? It should be like, and I'm not trying to sort of like gatekeep or anything like that, but like there's in games like this, there always needs to be something, right, that you just have to just have, you have to be good at it, you have to have good gear, you have to just like, have all your docs lined up to be able to do that content. And then maybe then they can have that kind of step structure to it. They could then they could almost like recategorize it, right? Because it's kind of hard to do now that everybody is like master worked up and whatnot, right? But like, if I could have like rewound time, I would have been like, okay, cool. Like GM1 is what you do to get full epics, right? You then move into GM2 to get full masterworks. You then move into GM3 to get full legendaries. And then once you're legendary up, then of course you're going to move towards Cataclysm, right? And I feel like that step nature, because that's exactly like, like Division has world tiers, right? And world tier 1, 2, 3, and 4, largely speaking, are basically like GM1, 2, and 3. They're just harder, right? And but the difference is that they then drop the higher tier loot. So you get to you do world tier 1 and you get to the gear cap. You complete all your requirements. You move to your world tier 2. You keep you keep gearing up, and there's that progression. So although largely speaking they are the same because they're just more difficult, at least there's a purpose to go from 1 to 4. Whereas if I can literally gear up to max in GM1, then there needs to be that. So I feel like and they need to tell you that early, right? They almost need to say like early on, but like, okay, cool, let's just pick a date, and they're like, oh, Cataclysms are coming out end of May. They need to tell you at the beginning of May and be like, all right, this is what the requirement is going to be. Just like they would be like a Destiny raid. They'd be like, you need to be this gear score, right? So people can just start to work towards it. I know the kind of the way the structure works right now almost doesn't fit that, because everyone is kind of maxed, right? There isn't a higher tier that you can almost reach right now. So I don't know. There would have to be some fundamental changes to that. And they did say that in this upcoming patch, is it this one or the one coming? There's a patch coming soon where they're going to change the damage, the numbers slightly on like Masterworks and Legendaries. So
I think that's next week. Okay,
yeah. So then your gear score will already appear slightly different anyway. So there's scope to make those changes in the background before then, so they could potentially even do that. But I feel like that will give people a progression thing, right? Then it would be like, okay, now I have a reason to do this. I've got something to aim for. And then I think that will kind of restore the reason to play those things.
Yeah, chat. I'd love to hear what you guys would like to hear would like to see the developers work toward design wise. So let us know, and I'll read some of those on chat, or if you have any questions. But Arekkz, I think you really hit the nail on the head when you said there is no reliable way to chase gear score, and there's also no incentive whatsoever to chase your gear score, power score in Anthem, and that is why once you hit endgame, there's no incentivization to sign on again. It's like, okay, I have like 470 or whatever gear score right now. I could grind it out and power up, but why? Who cares? I'm going to be able to do cataclysms anyway. So,
you nailed it with the, GM1 should have been all Epics, GM2 should have been all Masterworks, and GM3 should have been all Legendaries. And that's how it was kind of sold to me originally. That's what I thought it was all about, because in originally seeing the difficulties, they did have something around you must have Epics to go into GM1, you must have Masterwork quality to go into. That's what they said, and it had nothing to do with the gear. It's just like your power ranking. That's what they meant. But it should have been, dropping all the time in GM2 should be Masterworks, and dropping all the time in GM3 should be Legendaries. Then there is an incentive to rise above, rise up the ladder, so to speak. So why would you take a step forward if taking a step backwards, gets you to your destination faster, right?
Yeah.
I think that's,
every loot-based game I have played, I'm actually shocked that this is like a core design issue that they're facing. Every loot-based game I faced has had reliable ways to progress, and this game largely doesn't. It's just like, well, maybe you get some drops, maybe you don't in GM3. Well, you can get 3 Masterworks. I'm like, I have all Masterworks. I have all Masterworks from trying out GM1. Why am I going to go do a harder version of the game in order to get more of stuff that I already have? Like, I have all the Masterworks except like that stupid side gun that I can't get. The
you still haven't got it?
No, I'm super pissed.
I've got like 4 of them.
all I ever get is the stupid Ranger rockets or whatever.
Oh really?
Or like grenades. It's really, really frustrating. But it's just really surprising to think about that as an issue. One other thing we said we were going to do last week was talk about other looter shooters. So we have a few minutes left. We're going to talk Loot 2.0. That's what we're going to call the segment, where we open it up to talk about all of the looter shooters in the world. And Dantics, there is a certain game that both you and Arekkz, I believe, like quite a bit. Borderlands, we've been hearing a few teases about Borderlands 3.
Oh, we have, yeah.
What have you got? What do you got on the DL there, buddy?
Oh, you put me on the spot here because I actually don't have that much. There's been a lot of teasers, and there's been a lot of teasers. Gearbox have been, if you follow their Twitter, they've been posting pictures up there, but it really doesn't give us enough to go off.
No.
Yeah, look, so the game's not going to be on Pandora. It's going to be, I think it might even be on multiple planets, and it's going to, from what I can see from leaks, it's going to have some pretty cool looking classes, if that's correct. There was a leak that suggested that there might be a Beastmaster type class, which means we might be able to actually have some decent pet AI, which
that'd be cool.
Might be good. Yeah,
there are enough pet classes in these games.
Here, was I incorrect? Are you a big Borderlands guy, Arekkz, or no?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I've played all of them since number one. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, like, as Dantics said, we don't really know much right now, other than like they just put out the teasers. Like they've got a tease that falls up. Their kind of their tease they put up. What was it, their signpost? This is like March 28th. So that's obviously coming up this week. So I'm just like I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, 100%. It's good. Well, because it's funny because it's interesting as well. Like everyone, in this current kind of climate, when everyone talks about like the looter shooters, they always talk about like the big 3 like Destiny, Anthem, and Division, but they forget that like Borderlands is the OG when it comes to looter shooters, right? Like this is they know how to do their stuff, right? So like I'm just like whatever. Like that's gonna be the one.
That's how you do
interesting
loot.
Question, right? Interesting question for this Loot 2.0 segment, right? I realized I wanted to bring this up before. Everyone calls it a looter shooter, but have you ever thought that you have to shoot before you can loot? I mean, no, but this is an interesting question, right? I mean,
no,
it's like the chicken or the
shoot a looter.
You start with some loot that you use to shoot.
Are we doing the chicken before the egg thing right now?
Your loot is just very bad at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, based on the
true.
evolution, the egg has to come first, right? Because it would be a different type of chicken that gets to the chicken that it is, right? So I mean,
This is very true.
So what is it? Is it loot first?
But even if you start with your basic loot, you must still shoot to acquire said loot.
Oh, unless you start with said shoot. You start with guns, right? You do.
Shooter looter. No, I don't like it. No, looter shooter.
But you could abbreviate it to Schluter.
Shoot.
No, that sounds gross. I don't know why. I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Oh dear.
So looking.
Sorry to just derail that. That was just a really important question to ask.
All right, new segment's called Spluter.
No, looking at all the teases, they've teased a pixelated image of something Borderlands.
Yeah.
They teased Duke Nukem and the guy from Bulletstorm together.
Yeah, so it'd be a Bulletstorm thing, yeah.
Bulletstorm
sure.
Duke Nukem crossover, but they already sort of did that, right? And I don't know, Randy Pitchford's just, tweeting a bunch of random stuff. So like he always does, magic tricks or whatever that guy's up to.
Everyone always reads way too much into that too. They're like, "Oh, what does this mean for Borderlands?" It's like, nothing, buddy. No, just
Spluter. No.
Yeah, look, everyone agrees with it. There you go. Schluter chat.
It's it. You have to rename it, man. It can't be Freelancer chat anymore.
I'll work on a logo for you.
Oh my god.
Well, he's kind of there. The javelin just needs to be changed to be more splooty. And then it's done. We're done.
You can change it pretty easy. Yeah, so what's going on in Division 2? I am still like level 14. Arekkz, you probably grind through everything. Where's it at right now? When's the raid coming out? Catch me up.
So raid, so raid. We haven't had any like official details. There was some like leaks the other day where like it wasn't about the date, but there were some leaks about sort of like potential number of encounters and stuff, and like kind of the sort of stuff that was like hinted at before. That it sounds like there might be a part in the raid where the team of 8 has to split off into 2 different teams. Sounds kind of cool. But again, that's all like leaked stuff. But yeah, we don't have a date for that yet. So at the moment, Division's still kind of in that launch cycle where they haven't really had many announcements. They have done a few bug fixes and stuff in the background. They had a couple of like issues and whatnot. But largely speaking, I think people are still just working through. I feel like they've been having regular state of the games each week. So I feel like
that's good.
In the next kind of week or so, they'll probably announce something, because when you think about the kind of typical time frame, like by the end of the first week, a lot of people were kind of starting to get towards endgame, because if you weren't blitzing it, it's actually quite long to kind of get through that campaign. So I feel like a couple of weeks is a good time for people to start really getting into World Tier 4 and start kind of grinding for their stuff. Like I'm max gear score right now, but I need to start just like grinding for like more loot now, just to kind of get what I actually want. So I feel like the raid will be coming soon, but yeah, at the moment, not a great deal. In fact, before that, definitely before that, I think it's coming. It might even be next week. I'm not sure, but there's basically before that. So World Tier 5 is locked off right now because you can go as far as World Tier 4, which is actually quite good because it means everyone kind of like hit that same cap, and then they release that with World Tier 5. There'll be the 4th stronghold, which will be, and that I think will then set up for the raid. So I imagine they'll launch World Tier 5. You run for that stronghold, you get to, I think is it 500 or 550 gear score, something like that, and then it'll probably be after that. So I feel like it's probably going to be 2, maybe 3 weeks before we get the raid or something. So, but yeah, it's still good. There's still like plenty of stuff to do. Still like I'm in that kind of build tinkering stage right now. There's just like so many numbers to play with and things to fiddle around with. So,
so tell me about this staircase bug.
What is that a thing?
I actually haven't. It's funny. I actually haven't encountered the dreaded staircase, but there was someone that like raised a point the other day. Like they tweeted Julian Garrity, and there's just like one weird piece of level like a level design thing, and it just like stops you from getting up a staircase. And they're like, I mean, it's not a game breaking bug, but I can't get up the staircase. You can just go around it. But then I think I saw it picked up by like a few like news outlets and stuff, and they was like, yep.
My god.
It's just like an artifact on the staircase, and it's like, Division's broken.
That's funny.
But yeah.
What's
happening in Destiny?
Okay, here's what's happening in Destiny. Nothing. Basically, they've released all of their content. They're fixing the enhancement core economy, or they say they're fixing it. They're really not really doing anything. They're going to put enhancement core bounties at the gunsmith that you can pick up and then get more enhancement cores that way. But it doesn't really solve the issue of like, why the hell did we have to use enhancement cores for infusion? Why do we have to look like garbage monsters until we finally get our final set and then infuse it all up? It makes absolutely no sense, their design decision with these enhancement cores. Paul Tassi over at Forbes also just wrote an excellent article about why it's absolutely ridiculous that these enhancement cores are still in the system and how they actually detract from what Destiny is. Iron Banner is getting an update. Iron Banner is going to allow you to, if you're level 600, for example, jump up to 700 and compete. You can jump 100, or if you're 700, you can bump yourself down to 600. And if you run through Iron Banner and get 500 kills, you get a curated roll of Wizened Rebuke. It's a fusion rifle in the world of Destiny. And yeah, can you tell I just recorded an hour-long show like on Friday about this? Because this is just off the cuff. Yeah.
Nice.
We record Fireteam Chat over at IGN every Friday. You can check that out. Maybe you're on youtube.com/fireteamchat, but we do that. And on the Division 2 note, many of you know I work at IGN. My teammate James Duggan just released his review of The Division 2. And he put about 70 hours into it, but he works really, really, really hard on that stuff. So
I saw that review. It was real good.
Yeah,
that's a real good review.
He puts extra time to make sure that the review looks good, that it's using specific footage, articulating his points, and it's something that he and I are sort of trying to reinforce with the entire team, just like, hey, let's make sure that reviews are better. So I respect the work that he put into it a lot. Check it out if you get a chance on IGN.com or YouTube.com/IGN, of course.
I really need to stress how much effort it takes to make a review. I think guys realize it, but it takes a lot of time. Not only do you have to play through the game fully and absorb everything while you're playing, because it's not like it's not like you can just play through normally. Your brain has to be in a different mode. And then you have to write it, then you have to edit it, then you have to voice it. We're talking video reviews as well. There's a lot of work that goes into it. So well done. It was a great review.
In addition, he does, we do an update, and then we update several times throughout the review process. So basically you write like 10,000, you basically write a book by the time that you're done with a review. So
easily. Yeah.
Anything in addition you want to cover off on Dantics? I didn't throw it to you. I just want to make sure you get a chance.
Yeah. The Outer Worlds, if you guys have been following, that's by Obsidian. They made the original Fallouts. They made Stick of Truth and all those kind of really good RPGs. The Outer Worlds is only coming to the Epic Store and the Microsoft Store, I believe. So it won't be coming out on Steam for PC users, at least for a year. It will be on Xbox and PlayStation 4. A few people are talking about, boycotting it and pirating it. I just want to say, please don't pirate it, guys.
No,
that just hurts the developer. Don't do that. Just don't buy it if you want to boycott, but don't pirate it.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
all I'm gonna say.
If them moving to that platform results in fewer sales, then I think that's going to send a very clear message to the developer that, maybe we need to get this on Steam like now. So
Exactly. I don't even think the developers had anything to say with it, because the original promotional content actually had the Steam logo on it.
Yeah.
So I think they intended it to come out on Steam, and I think it might have been a publisher decision. In which case, why damage the developers for it? It's not really their fault. They just work on the game, man. They don't make these decisions.
Maybe you can.
I do.
Can you clarify for me what's wrong with launching on the Epic Store? I mean, it sucks that it's exclusive there. It's another thing you got to install on your PC. But why are people angry about that particularly?
I mean, I'll echo a few of their concerns. One is that the Epic Store has been found to actually search for certain files within your computer and actually take them and use them. So it looks for, I believe, some of your Steam files, looks for your contacts and your activity. And I don't know the exact details on that. Someone in chat could probably correct me. But
is that real?
I think that's pretty shady.
That's not
say
like
the least.
That's not like tinfoil hat. Like somebody actually.
Yeah, somebody found that it did that. And
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about Epic is they take 18% less cut from developers, so developers do earn more money. But it's pretty bare bones. The story is bare bones, and some people have some issues launching. They don't, Steam has, your friends list. You can gift games. You can stream. You can do all this cool stuff on Steam. So people just don't want to leave it.
Yeah,
which is
of
the main
course.
reason.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
so.
terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see chat right now because I'm having troubles opening it. But
they're just saying
sure
it's
people
real. The founder admitted it, and somebody said it also sent stuff to Tencent. I don't know about that one. I have to read more about it, but that's just what chat's saying. I'm not.
Yeah. Look, I'm kind of on the fence. I'm on the fence with this. Like, I absolutely have to get it regardless, right? I might get it on the Microsoft Store, but I do see what people are saying. Like, I've got like 6 launches on my taskbar right now. Like, I don't really want another one. I don't want this kind. I think the market should work itself out. Honestly, I think that's how it should be. Epic Store charges developers less, therefore they can charge the consumers less. Therefore, people see a cheaper game outside of Steam, and they might get it on the Epic Store instead of Steam. And then the market works itself out. Then Steam has to accommodate that and give, developers a bigger cut, so everything works out. But throttling the market with exclusives, I think, is not the way I really want it to go. But I mean, they kind of have to, don't they, to compete with the juggernaut? So I don't know. I'm on the fence.
That's scary and surprising. Wow. I am excited about that game, though. I want to play Outer Worlds. I'll still give it a chance. It's coming to console, isn't it?
It is. Xbox and PS4. So
I'll be playing on Xbox off of a disc offline. I'll see you guys there.
Well, it is a single player game. So if you guys want your single player experience that you didn't get it from Fallout 76, then this is where you go, guys. You got to go to the Outer Worlds. It's looking good. It's looking like that experience. So
yeah, good narrative storytelling is always something that I'm willing to check out and support for sure. Anything else you guys want to cover off on? I think we've kind of gone through all the topics that we wanted to for the show this week.
I think so, yeah.
Great.
Perfect timing as well.
Yeah. Well done. Thank you, chat. I'll be right back. I'll be streaming more. One quick note. If you want to listen to this show on iTunes and you have a second, please leave a review. It does help the show generate more on the top lists in the gaming or something. It helps the show. So if you want to leave a review, check it out. Arekkz, people can still check you out on your YouTube channel, right? You haven't changed anything in the many years you've been doing this.
No. I'm still the same place. youtube.com/ArexG. That's where you can find most of the content.
So we do this thing at IGN where we're like, at the end of our shows, what are you working on? So like, what's something that you can tell us about or tease us with that you got coming out shortly? Anything?
What am I working on? Working on some more Sekiro stuff right now because I'm just enjoying that right now because the game is super good and kind of approaching Sekiro in a very different way. I'm not doing like guides or anything. I'm literally just like streaming it and then one of my guys do like a funny moments kind of highlight sort of thing. Very different to what we normally do on the channel, but I'm just trying to sort of mix things up lately. So there's that, and obviously still kind of working on my own little podcast journey and whatnot. So kind of working on that. So yeah, and obviously then just be more stuff in the coming weeks.
What's your show called?
It's currently just called the Arekkz Gaming Podcast. I feel I should have like a different name for it, but that's currently what it's called. So we got 3 episodes so far. I did actually miss this past week's episode because some stuff came up, so I had to kind of shuffle it out. So we got 3 episodes so far.
So Arekkz was in his own podcast.
Yeah.
You would have been missed, man.
No, I know. I've got to fix it up. But yeah, that's the journey. I'm just trying to do different stuff right now. That's
really fun. It's fun.
Yeah,
you got to keep it fresh. And Sekiro is phenomenal. It is so good. It is really good. I
think you just got to sit and enjoy that.
Yeah. What about you, Dantics? You got anything down the road?
To be honest, just Borderlands right now. I'm working on something Borderlands. I've tried to take a bit of a mental health month because February was
good for
crazy. Yeah, so I've just been I've been just working on the house and redoing stuff and but Borderlands 3, that's on my radar. So is the Outer Worlds. I think that's about it for now. I've been doing a bit of playing games and not having to make content on it. So
yeah, for sure.
But /Dantics is where you find me.
Cool. And for me, I still work at IGN, so I'm doing all that during the week. I do Fireteam Chat on Fridays, every Friday at 5. It's been that way for years. So still continuing that. And this show will be back next week. We'll be talking more about Anthem and all looter shooters. Thank you guys for watching. And until next time, freelancers, it's time to get back to work. See you soon, everybody.